Good evening, everybody. I'm going to apologize in advance. My computer paused already, and its actions are really forcing me to cut this video super short. So if you really want the long version, since this week mirrors the last week, if you really want the full synopsis of everything, watch last week's video. But in my attempt to essentially beat my computer to another restart, I'm going to try this out. So my name is Daniel Young. I'm the owner and founder of Adaptive Perspective, the Adaptive Perspective social media platforms, and I am back to talk about our stock market investment strategy using closed-end funds. So this is an unedited video. Who knows what you'll hear in the background as I film these in my house. I am not a financial advisor. I am a financial strategist, and I don't speak like the herd. I walk in limited company, and very often I walk alone. So if you would if you've been here a while, I appreciate it. Thank you very much. If you've subscribed to my channel, thank you again. If you're brand new, typically I rehash the week's financial news as well as political news, and then apply that to our financial strategy and really filter out the list. So if you're wanting the full version of that, look at last week's video because I get into all of that. And then this week is really going to be shorter than I already intended because the computer already froze. So thank you, Microsoft. You made a really shitty product. Not thrilled at all. Um, yeah, disclaimers and filters. All right. So if you would like to help me hack YouTube and help more people see these videos and help more people beat the herd, or maybe just help more people in the herd wake up to the reality that they can do a lot better than what the media is telling them, comment on the videos appropriately. Comment and have it be um, commentary that's related to the video. Like the videos, share the videos, and then when the algorithm sees that happening, it realizes, or I guess it forces the algorithm to realize that people are interested in the content, and then it shares it with more people. So, like I already said, there are important things that happened this week, but it really mirrors last week, and I don't want to re-say or restate or rehash and go through that entire giant 30 to 45 minutes of financial news and applicability and strategy and all of that again. I've done that 2 weeks in a row, so my goal is to kind of take a break from that. We'll see if anything else changes, and then I'll rehash next week, or maybe not rehash, but uh, go back through everything next week. So we're not investing tomorrow, but if we were investing tomorrow, we would invest in bonds and bond proxies. It's still just our favorite place to be with the given environment. If you're not buying like us, then I would still continue to sift the data. Look at the data. However, I look at the entire batch of closed-end funds, or at least the ones we track weekly, and then look at the overall news environment. And I get my information from more than one source per sector. So if I'm looking at and I don't get it off the media. So if I'm looking at the financial sector or the stock market or real estate, I'm getting it from more than one source. So I get a better, accurate overall awareness picture, and then I assimilate or filter all of that data and then compare it with geopolitical news and see if I can see a bigger picture, but also filter that data into our strategy and come up with a much better, more adaptable, or maybe more adapted strategy of how to continuously improve our portfolio, but also continuously improve our overall progress working towards our overall vision. So, enough of that. Uh, Without further ado, I'm going to jump into the list, but I'm also going to jump into the list after it's already been sorted because I'm quite honestly worried that my computer is going to freak out again. So, I took this list I think there's 39 ish, 38 minus 2 at the top is 36. I took that list and carried it over here, and then I sorted it earlier based on those three categories. We look at real estate, so bonds, and then everything about bond proxy, real estate, utilities, energy transfer, senior loans, BDCs, collateralized loan obligations. I avoided stocks, which I think maybe either in either end of April, beginning of May, or maybe further into the summer, maybe that's a good time to look at more stocks than bonds, partly based on where we want the herd to go. We want the herd to wake up and realize that equities aren't the best way to make money, especially now. And that's going to swing their attention into bonds. Partly that's where the media is going to steer them. Partly that's where their financial advisor should steer them. And maybe they're reading more than just watching the media, but they should shift into bonds. That's what we want. Decreasing supply of bonds will increase overall share value. Decreasing rates will happen more so along the lines of when, not necessarily. It'll be, yeah, it's not if, but when. Uh, Decreasing rates should increase or improve our dividend yields. So that should get the herd's attention. And we want them to get that attention because it helps us where we already are. On the flip side, with the herd leaving equities or growth stocks or consumer uh, or gosh, consumer oil, consumer staples, however you want to determine that or define that other sector of the market, when the herd leaves it because of volatility or pick your reason, that's a great time to consider that as an option. And I still think we're going to see volatility, but so long as we see volatility and lowered pricing, and with the herd not there, should be a decent time to buy. But for the time being, I filtered all of that out of the list, and now I have this much shorter list, which makes sure my screen is actually on the list would be helpful. So now we have this much shorter list. Everything in dark blue we own in the Roth account. Everything on the screen we own in the Fidelity Cash Brokerage account. And if you were going to make me pick, I'd probably pick differently based on which account. The Roth account is already a tax-free based account. Anything bought, sold, dividends, whatever inside that protective sphere is already tax-free. So municipal bonds don't really help me there. Uh, I would pick, I mean, anything of what we already own, but I would prioritize probably OXLC because the dividend seems like it's there to stay. And then I would pick these two. I would go more bonds and CLOs and senior loans as over real estate and this portfolio when I can. If you ask me if, I'll say, if you ask me for what I would buy in the Fidelity cash account, um, it goes back to almost everything on the list, but I would pick more just traditional bonds in the sense that I would still pick BRW FCO. OXLC, so long as it's in discount, is a great option. But I would also pick municipal bonds. All of these are great dollar cost average moves for us right now. I get that their dividends are less than the general 9% than the general 9% threshold, but the tax equivalent yield for them is actually higher than 10% on all of them. 1005, 1006, 1009. And I realized that I realized that my crash wiped out more than just the video and everything else from last session. It changed all my notes. It reverted all my notes back to the originals. So the updated on all of these they all have a high. It's like 10.5% tax equivalent yield for almost all of these. So if you were going to force me to buy stuff in the Roth account, I would pick this, and I'll do it with a different color. Roth side of things, I would buy that if you made me pick something. And on the Fidelity side of things, DNP is a close shave or a close, I don't know, option. But I would pick something more like this. Municipal bond, and I don't think we're going to have any kind of default. I don't, that's, uh, that's not my point. It's just they're safe because the default risk is so low that even in volatility, it's just not going to happen. But I don't think we're going to have the default issue or risk or however you want to say that. FCO is a all-American company. It's bonds and the private lending package. BRW is bonds, some stocks, but also just rare earth minerals and just a lot more than what it used to be. And OXLC, it is taxable senior loans, but it's also CLOs or collateralized loan obligations. It can generate income in addition to what it's seeing otherwise. So let me go back there. So it's kind of it is. It's my foundational list for the week. Everything on the list makes the cut in the sense of if we could buy it all, we would buy it all. But at the same time, we're not buying tomorrow. And even if we were buying tomorrow, I would still go back and really filter the list to optimize what we're putting into the market. They're all great options. It just comes down to your individual strategy, your individual vision on how you think or maybe your individual sight of how you think the market will go long term, where we are in the grand scheme of things, and how you think the market will be next month. And I get it. Like most people see the market as a crapshoot, right? They really don't know what they're going to get, but that's not exactly true. I'm not saying you can time the market, and I'm certainly not saying you can be like, yes, I'm going to win at everything. That's not my point at all. And it is a risk. But at the same time, if you can try to break down the bigger picture of things and see the bigger possibilities of things, you have a much more likely chance of doing better than the herd, but also just better than the average bear, which I guess would make you better than the herd. Playing the playing the hope and equity growth game is going to leave you really disappointed because equities grow, but they may not be growing faster than inflation, and most don't pay a dividend. And here we're looking at dividends, on surface value below 8, but really they're above 10. DNP is almost a solid 8% dividend all the time because the dividend doesn't change. And all of these have the risk of gaining it, so if they all increase in cost, their overall yield's going to go down, but all of these have the hope and potential of having increased dividends. So closed-end funds will give you a much better they give you a much better potential to retire on dividends than having to reverse dollar cost average and sell your equity or sell your growth, right? Or sell the value of your portfolio, right? So I would much rather live off 8% dividends than have to sell my overall value 8% every year. So everything on this list is an option. It really just breaks down into how your individual strategy works and how your overall current portfolio works. I would lean more heavily on the side of bonds than the other options. But that being said, if we all had all the money we wanted, then we could invest in everything. That being said, the more you tend to spread out your funds for the sake of diversity, the less you actually the more you spread yourself out for the sake of diversity actually doesn't allow you to grow your money like you want because it's all spread out so far. So based on your strategy, pursue your strategy. Don't just buy stuff to buy stuff and be different. If you have a strategy, pursue that strategy and invest in that strategy and don't be afraid to do it. Use caution, use logic. Don't let your emotions throw you one way or the other. The fear of missing out, greed, don't let that get in the way. But if you can approach it logically with a specific strategy, you set yourself up to do extremely well, right? But if you invest in everything, it's really hard to grow anything. So that's really all I have. And that's really, I mean, heck, if you've seen my videos, you know I can talk longer, but I really want to beat my computer and really hope it doesn't pause. So I'm going to call it there. If you like my content, consider subscribing to my channel and then really help me hack YouTube and help more people by leaving a comment, sharing the video, and clicking that like button. And if you want to find me day to day, comment on the video. You can also find me on Facebook in my Navigate Your Finances group. But otherwise, this is Daniel Young signing off. And yes, they are live unedited videos because I like the raw capacity, but you also get to hear all my mistakes. So this is Daniel Young signing off, and I will see you all on another video. Have a great week, everybody. Bye-bye.